What's going on, everybody? Welcome back into DLF. I am your host, Justin. Today we are talking through start or sit at the wide receiver position. Week 3 is in the books. We're heading into week 4, just under a quarter of the way through the season. And that means we're starting to get clarity, right? We know who the breakouts are, who the potential busts may be. What matchups do you want to target? Who do we want to avoid? We have so much more information than we did really the first 3 weeks where we're honestly guessing. I mean, that's the best way to put it. But now, right, how do you approach guys like Romeo Doubs or, DJ Moore, who's been a certified bust basically at this point? That's what we're going to get into today. So let's dive in. First one is Romeo Doubs, right, of the Green Bay Packers. So this week, right, Doubs is playing the New England Patriots, coming off of an 8-target, 8-catch game. He finds the end zone. It looks like Romeo Doubs is, a potential mid-season, early season breakout candidate now, with Sammy Watkins on IR. Allen Lazard has been fine, right? Good, not great. Randall Cobb is old. We know that. That's not really shocking. And Christian Watson also hurt. So basically, Rodgers has been searching for a breakout wide receiver, a guy he can trust. And am I ready to say it is 100% Romeo Doubs? No, of course not, right? I'm not going to do that off of 8 targets, 22% target share in 1 week. But it is worth noting, right? His highest snap total of the season. He led all wide receivers in routes run. So with all of that being said, if it was a better matchup, I'd honestly probably put him as a top 36, maybe top 30 wide receiver. But New England has been stiff against wide receiver. Like, there's just not a lot there. It's a bottom 5 matchup right now. Mac Jones is hurt, so the idea of quick pace of play is out the window, right? You're going to see a lot of Damian Harris, a lot of Ramondre Stevenson, and that's just going to limit how much the Packers can throw. So with all of that being factored in, I'm still going to put him as a low-end flex. Think right around wide receiver 40, right? Maybe not necessarily a wide receiver 3, but he's on the cusp, right? He's in the conversation, and that is what you should do there. So some players I'm looking at, like, who do you play him over in deep dynasty leagues, even redraft? Allen Lazard, right? I just talked about. I think he may be the true one here. I'm going to make that bet and play him over Lazard. I'll play him over Greg Dortch. I think that's how you say it. I'm not going to try. And then Jahan Dotson as well, right? Game script, I don't think is in his favor this week. I think it's going to be a slow-paced matchup. So I'm playing Romeo Doubs over those guys. Again, not a must start, but definitely in the flex conversation. Our next guy on the list is another waiver wire pickup for a lot of people right now, right? It's Zay Jones of the Jacksonville Jaguars. And look, we know Zay Jones is probably not the one. It seems right now like that it's firmly cemented as Christian Kirk. We see that by, looking at the routes they ran last week, right? Kirk leads them in routes run. Marvin Jones actually ran one more route than Zay Jones did as well. But Zay Jones still came away with 11 targets. His second week, out of 3 here. So 2 out of 3 with over 9 or more targets. He's been a target hog, again, for 2/3 of the games played right now, and that is enticing. That type of usage is what you want to see, especially from guys that are either on waivers or at the end of your bench that you're thinking, right, is this the week to play them? He gets Philly, and that is not, it's not a bad matchup, right? It's not a great matchup either. It is very much a middle-of-the-road matchup, and we know Darius Slay is not going to shadow Zay Jones, so I'm not concerned there, but, right, he's going to play on the outside where Kirk's going to obviously dominate most of the slot snaps, so that kind of brings this mid-tier matchup to a little bit less than ideal, just because of the strength of the outside corners where Philly's been getting beat up in the slot, and Christian Kirk should have another big game here. With all of that being said, the emergence, the breakout, the arrival of Trevor Lawrence, and the usage, again, in 2/3 of his games, I'm going to go to Zay Jones as another low-end flex option, right? He's in that same tier with Romeo Doubs. If you're looking at guys to play him over, everybody I listed for Doubs, but I'll even throw in, right, the obvious. Darnell Mooney, Jahan Dotson, obviously, like I said. And then the other one who I think a lot of people are going to battle with is Allen Robinson. Right, it's tough, but Robinson's fallen outside of the top 40 pretty comfortably right now. We just need to see more volume for us to trust him. Otherwise, Robinson belongs on the bench behind both Doubs and Zay Jones right now. Moving on to our next 2 guys here. First one being Elijah Moore, right? Speaking of guys that have just not lived up to expectations, up to the hype, Elijah Moore is near the top of the list for a lot of people. And that's not to say he's been, completely lost, right? He's not putting up one catch a week for like 3 points. That's not what he's doing. He's seeing some volume. He had a touchdown called back in week 1. The production, it feels like he's on the edge or on the cusp. A matchup against Pittsburgh. Zach Wilson is now under center again. This feels like a spot where he could finally capitalize after leading the Jets in air yards last week, leading them in routes run. It feels like all of these things are starting to get into place. And again, the Steelers are a great matchup. They allow over 180 yards a game to the wide receivers right now. They can be beat. They are a fantastic matchup for wideouts. So I'm very excited for Garrett Wilson and Elijah Moore this week. Elijah Moore is going to slot in as a top 36 wide receiver. So if Dynasty, that's basically a must start in my eyes. I'm going to play him over guys like Jerry Jeudy, Adam Thielen, and obviously everybody else we've said already. I have Elijah Moore over all of them. Now, is he, light years ahead of Doubs and Zay Jones? No, absolutely not, right? There's plenty of risk to be assumed there, but still, I like Elijah Moore. I'm going to bet on the known talent that this is the week he gets right. And to close us out, what may be, for a lot of people, one of the bigger busts in all of fantasy, DJ Moore. And let me be clear, it's not because of DJ Moore. It's the same conversation we have every year. The quarterback play is terrible. Like, if you watch Baker Mayfield, he has no business being a starting quarterback. I think Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, and the coaching staff and Stefanski over there, I think they hit a lot of how just truly awful Baker Mayfield is, right? At this point, he's playing as bad, if not worse, than Sam Darnold, than Kyle Allen, everybody else DJ Moore has seen. And all of that to say, DJ Moore is good. We know he's good. And now he gets Arizona, who has been suspect against wide receivers. They're not allowing a lot of touchdowns, but the yardage has been there. It's been interesting. This could be a good spot for DJ Moore to get right. Again, it's really difficult to sit him down because we know he's a guy that can go for 120, 150 yards basically any given week. It's just a matter of Baker not missing him when he is constantly wide open, right? He slots in the same tier as Elijah Moore for me, right? And that's barely ahead of Zay Jones and Romeo Doubs, which is tough considering, for me, a lot of people, he was a top 15 wide receiver this year. He's fallen, but not to the point in most Dynasty leagues where you have the depth to sit him. That's the piece is, do you have the depth to sit him down, right? If it's a 10-team league, yeah, I'm probably not starting DJ Moore. But in these deeper leagues, you probably don't have a better option. So I'm going to play him over guys like Jerry Jeudy, right? Adam Thielen. And this one I think is interesting. Juju Smith-Schuster, right? Juju has been up and down. Unspectacular, I think, is a good word to put it. And I just think DJ Moore is a better player. And I'm hoping even with worse QB play, he can overcome basically the incompetence of Baker Mayfield. I think this is a week we see him get right. Think of it as a squeaky wheel game where there's been complaints in the media, a lot of conversation about him not being involved. This is a week he's going to be back. All right, guys, that closes us out here. Again, if you like what we're doing, subscribe to the channel. If you like the video, like the video, that's good too. Questions, comments, all your start sit stuff, drop it down below. There's obviously several more interesting cases here. So even if we didn't touch on one of your guys today, drop it down and we will get all of those questions answered for you. As always, thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.